you're planning a trip, do you prefer to get directions from a map or the internet or a human?
Well, I'd be more traditional. I'd prefer to go to the map, but I have used the internet, you know, to get information on a place that I would have been going to, you know. But no, I prefer the map myself.
There's so much information on the internet, isn't there? That it can be confusing at first to narrow down.
Yeah, but to be able to narrow it down to exactly where you're going and the bit of information that you want, it can be a bit daunting at times. But you know, you stay at it, and you know you will win at the end of the day. You know. So,
Tommy, are you the type of person who likes to find out about a place before you go to visit?
I would indeed, and particularly about historic and things in the area, and going around to museums, and maybe as well of visiting monasteries in the area and that, and comparing them to the way of life they have in the monasteries here as well. We wouldn't have as many in Ireland as we used to, but on the continent they still have a lot.
Yeah, and do you think then that the type of travelling that Irish people are doing has changed over the years?
It has, because in the past it was more or less just going out onto the beach all day. Now they still go on to the beach, but what they do about probably 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they go off on a tour, on a coach tour, and a lot of them hires cars and they go to different places. Plus, they pick up on some of the phrases in the area and some of the language as well.
Yeah, like yourself and your German.
And the German. And I would have found them that the same as a lot of friends are from Russia, and it's the only way we can communicate. And once you try it, it gets easier and easier with practice.
Doesn't it? And it's much more polite when you're in a country to
even
say hello in their language. Well, if you'd like to know more about the internet, there's a free workbook that goes with the series to help you along the way. To get your free pack, you can free phone the number on your screen, 1800 20 20 65. That's 1800 20 20 65. Or you can visit our website. That's www.rug.ie. And don't worry, these contact details will come up again at the end of the programme. In the new financially conscious Ireland, many of us seem to be talking about interest rates, inflation, and there seems to be loads of types of mortgages. People seem to be obsessed by these terms. But if you've ever had problems understanding them, here's a guide to help you.
Ireland is enjoying economic success like never before. And for many of us, it's important to keep informed of the business news. However, at the best of times, business news can be difficult for us to understand. We tend to hear unfamiliar terms, facts, figures and percentages that confuse many of us. David Murphy is a business correspondent with RTE News, and we showed him what the man on the street had to say.
Would you watch the business news?
No.
Not as a rule. I wouldn't watch it now.
No interest whatsoever.
Do you understand what the word inflation means?
Is it just how much things increase just naturally without anyone putting it up, the prices up?
It's a persistent increase in the level of prices.
Rising costs.
Do you understand what an interest rate increase might mean?
Yes. It'll mean an extra couple of €100 on anybody's mortgage, weekly or monthly.
It's gone up 4 times now already this year, and it's probably going to go up another 2. So it's an extra €30 a month. It won't be long before the bubble bursts in this country, and you'll see an awful lot of unemployment back like there was in the early 80s.
One of the things that comes from it very clearly is that business terms and business language might confuse people sometimes, but I think in reality people, while they may not know the exact definitions of a variety of things, they have a very clear understanding regarding what it means to them, and they immediately know whether or not that's going to be taking money out of their pocket.
This interest rate increase is no surprise, but it's unwelcome for the thousands of people who have to pay record prices for homes. Today's figures from the Central Statistics...
Well, I think the main skill in terms of presenting business news so it's accessible to everyone is to use simple and straightforward words which everybody can understand. If you're talking about interest rates rising, if you talk about the ECB, many people may not know what that means. If you talk about the European Central Bank, the people who control those interest rates, then people have a better understanding of what that means. With television, you're going to have the pictures to tell the story. For instance, with something like a rate rise, you can actually take a picture and show a house, and then on top of that say, this house costs €400,000. a mortgage on this house is going to cost so much per month, and it's now going to rise by €44 a month. So you can tell it with graphics. However, in radio you need to have a simple script to tell that story.
Repayments on a €100,000 variable mortgage over 30 years will increase by €14 a month. A €200,000 loan will rise by €29 a month.
You've got to bear in mind that if you throw in too many figures into anything, people can get confused.
But with all interest rate increases, savers get a better return on their deposits.
They've only really got one chance to hear it, so you need to keep it very simple and very clear all the time.
Brian Cowan and his family braving the elements as they arrive for his second budget.
Everything we see around us in terms of our roads, our schools, our hospitals, public transport, all of that is funded through the government. And the budget is really the time of the year when the government decides how much money it's going to take in and how much money it's going to spend.
Parents, regardless of their labour force status, for each child up to his or her 6th birthday.
It can be a big challenge when the government produces a very large document like the budget. With the radio and television business news, we do try to make it as clear and as accessible to everyone. There's a vast amount of information on the internet and RTÉ's website, so if there's things that people have missed or they're unsure about, they can actually read through it again in quite an accessible way on rte.ie. And I think as well, you know, newspapers do often give a very good understanding of what's going on in terms of those financial issues as well.
When we have to write more than one of something in numbers, it's usually very straightforward, but language can sometimes be a little more tricky. Most of the time, when spelling a plural, we simply add an S, but there are other situations when we have to do something slightly different.
Adding an S to the end of some words make them plural. This means they refer to more than one of something. So apple becomes apples, and boy becomes boys. It doesn't work for all words though. Take glass, for example. Adding another S definitely doesn't look right. So with words ending in S, we do something slightly different. We add ES. So glass becomes glasses, and bus becomes buses. This rule doesn't just apply to words ending in S. You also have to add ES to words ending in CH and words ending in O to make them plural. Take a look at match, matches, watch, watches, potato, potatoes, and tomato, tomatoes. Some words, however, don't follow any rules at all. Take the word man, for example. You wouldn't refer to more than one man as mans, you would call them men. Also, woman becomes women, and child becomes children. Other words that don't follow any rule would be tooth, which becomes teeth, and foot, which becomes feet.
So both of you are very busy at the moment, but what's next in terms of courses, Tommy?
Well, I hope to go on and maybe take up a writing course and maybe put together a book, maybe on local information, history and things like that.
Fantastic. You could even illustrate it yourself, maybe.
I could indeed, Florian.
And Kevin?
Well, hopefully now pass the Leaving Cert, that's my next goal. And after that, probably go on to a third level course if there's one available for me.
Well, best of luck with it.
Thank you very much,
both of you. And that's all we have time for today. We'd like to thank our two guests for coming in, to Kevin O'Duffy and to Tommy Gibbons. Next time we'll be finding out about learning centres, and we'll also be getting more assertive with some handy tips on learning to say no. In the meantime, here are the contact details to get hold of your free student workbook that goes with the series.
For your free student pack and workbook, free phone 1800 20 20 65. That's 1800 20 20 65. Or you can go online and visit www.rug.ie or write to The Really Useful Guide to Words and Numbers, care of Nala, 76 Lower Gardner Street, Dublin 1.